Happy Tuesday, family. Welcome to Excellence in Everything Live. I am your host, your favorite student success strategist, Linnita Hosten. And on Excellence in Everything Live, we cover what I call the three C's, all things building confidence, building competence, and the competitive advantage of those who will soon lead tomorrow's workforce. So if you love and or lead someone whom is teen-aged, thus, EIE is for you every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. That's what we're talking about. Tonight's topic is on the building confidence. See, we have a special guest here. I cannot wait to share her with you. I can't wait to tell you how we met. Her knowledge and expertise is amazing. She has a natural gift to support parents who may feel like they're struggling or may need some encouragement in building relationship with their teens. She's really good at empowering families, and that's all the things that I'm passionate about. And y'all know I only bring the good. So after today's introduction, I will soon meet our special guest for today. I'm excited to see you. Be back right after the intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. You are capable of excellence. You have an inner power of excellence. You will achieve excellence in everything, every time. Tuesdays are like my favorite day of the week because I actually get to do what I'm starting to love. I didn't like this at first, you guys, but the pandemic bought out a heart for this. And so I get excited to see you every Tuesday. Shout out to those who are joining us. Hey, Walter. So good to see you. Thank you for joining today's show. Walter and I had a great segment over the weekend. I said, Walter, I love you if you got me to come out on a Saturday. Hey, Donald. Donald said, this topic, I am always open to talking about this. Me too. You guys know I am a huge advocate for words and language. I feel like they are the root to our kids' identity. Oh, it's gonna be good. Hey, Sierra. Oh, thank you. Yes, you guys, tomorrow is my birthday. It's officially my Jesus year as of midnight. I'm excited to turn 33. And I am really grateful. I'm grateful, and I feel really blessed to do the work that I'm able to do. Speaking of which, if you watch today's content, or you watch any of our content, and you're like, I really would like to know how we can work together, I always put in this reminder for those who are streaming with us. If you'd like to join Ways or partner this year or the upcoming year, you can do so. You can bring me in to speak. You can hire me to train. I do have my own curriculum. You can hire me to write a curriculum for your existing group that works with teens and young adults. So those are the three ways that we can work together. And if you're interested in getting more information about that, you can go to linnitahosten.com/connect. Hi, Janet. If you're watching for the first time and you are new, just go ahead and say, hey, I am here. And let me know what city you're watching from. Hi, Kiara. Thank you so much. Yes, it's a birthday girl. And Walter, you're absolutely welcome. And for those of you who are interested in checking out some awesome content, I would encourage you to follow Walter. All right, y'all know I'm a good stickler for time, and I like to be on time. Oh my goodness, Lesia, I'm so happy to have you. I cannot wait to pick your brain about a topic that I'm really passionate about. I did want to start by acknowledging that not only do you coach families and you work with teens, you also have been a foster parent and working with foster parents and their children. You're such an instrumental part of our community. I wanted to first say thank you for your work and welcome to Excellence in Everything Live.
Yay. I am excited to be here.
Yes,
So excited.
yes. And tell us who you are in your own words.
Ah, I am Lesia Knudsen. First of all, I am just, thank you again for being here. I am someone who champions the family and who champions teens. Um, I have just had this heart for them. I work with parents, specifically parents of teens. I work with foster parents, consult foster care agencies, author, speaker, trainer, but mainly I'm a lover of God and a lover of the family and the lover of teens.
Yeah. Don't she sound like my BFF? Because I mean, we just got so much in common already. Let's see. How did you get started in your work?
So I have always, even when I was younger, teens would always be driven to me. As I got older, my kids didn't like it, but all of their friends began to come over and call me mom. They were like, oh no. But I've always had that passion for teenagers. And as I began to work with teens, like in juvenile hall, juvenile kids on probation, foster youth, I found out that as I began to work with them and they began to make progress,
Mm.
when they went home, some was undone. So, seeing that I love the youth, I figured that if I got to the root, which is the parents, I would ultimately be benefiting teenagers. And so that's when I started my own coaching business, my parent coaching business, and working with foster care agencies.
Yeah.
So it's been sort of a morphing of what it really turns into, which really the root is the home and working and empowering parents.
Yeah. Speaking of parents, the reason why I made today's topic this title is because I get this question a lot. They want to know how you get them to talk, and they want to know how do you motivate them. If I could write a frequently asked questions document, those will be at the very very top. So I really wanted to ask you, why do you think teens don't talk to their parents or to their caseworkers or to those people who are really rooting for them? Why do you think there's such a struggle or strain for them to communicate?
So, a couple reasons, but I'll just talk about this one. A lot of times, due to social media, due to, I'm going to say this, television, where the parents are basically idiots and the kids are smarter than the parents, through that, maybe even relationship in the home, sometimes kids don't trust parents or adults with their thoughts and their emotions. And so that drives a wedge. It's like when they're kids, when they're little, 4 or 5, all they do is they want to talk to you and you're their hero. And then you, everything they come to you, what about this? What about that? Well, as they get older and develop some autonomy and they're really trying to figure out who they are and do they really need you? And are you as smart as they thought you were when they were little? Some of it's healthy. Some of it's them trying to develop their own autonomy and figure out who they are. So they jump between I'm grown and no, I'm a kid and I need you. And so a lot of times in that phase, they will go to their friends, they will go to social media, and they will go to TV to get answers and to talk to people.
Hmm. You just said a hot button. You said they don't trust you with their feelings. And creating an emotional safe space is actually not an easy thing to do. And it's
Mhm.
really easy to strip away something and make it, it's real easy. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Okay, so when one of the reasons I feel like creates a safe space or emotional security is listening. Active listening is a way to, I feel, make a person feel seen and heard. Why do you think, or describe what it means to listen to a teen? Like make it so practical, like as oversimplified as possible. What does that look like?
Okay, first of all, listening is my baby. I I think we'd have world peace if everybody would just listen, right? I want to get a T-shirt. Can we all just listen, right? One of the things, one of the top needs of a teenager, I'll tell you the top two. One is respect, and the second one is to be heard. Those are the top two needs of teenagers. It's not video games, money, and all the things. It's to be respected and heard. And that's being respecting teens a whole nother topic we can talk about another time. Um, and so listening looks like, let me just say this. There's 4 ways to listen. Okay. Listen to understand, listen without judgment, listen without interrupting, and listening without trying to fix it. Now, we all fall in those categories, right? Of listening, not listening to understand, but just trying to fix everything and all that. So if we could learn to close our mouths and to truly listen to what they're trying to say, not just what's coming out their mouth, right? But
Mm.
what's behind the words. Your child comes home and she said, "I hate math and math is stupid and I don't want to do math." And we immediately jump into, "Well, you got to have math because you got to graduate." Okay, but we didn't even take a moment to figure out, why do they not like math? What are they really trying to say? So if we practice those four types of listening, listening to understand, listening without judgment, listening without interrupting, and listening without trying to fix it, it will build the relationship and trust with your team. So now they'll feel like talking to you a little more.
Mm. Such a gem. Walter said, as a father, I've always asked God to help me with that. I'm assuming the listening, letting my child know that they are respected and heard. You did say that they want respect and they want to be heard. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Elijah one had a question. He asks us, how do you determine which of those listening styles do you use and in which situations? That's a great question, Elijah one.
I'm going to say you can use every single one of those all the time, right? Let me give you an example of listening with judgment. So you'll see the opposite. Listening from a place of judgment would be, your child comes home and says, "I got in a fight and I got suspended." And immediately you say, "I told you your mouth was going to get you in trouble. See, your rebellious self, that's what gets you in trouble." Now, we didn't even give them a chance to explain anything. When really, if we would have stopped and they would have said, "Hey, I got suspended today," and we would have said something like, "What happened?" Right? That word, "what happened," opens the door instead of, "What did you do?"
Mm,
What happened says, "I want to hear your side." What happened says, "I care about what you're saying." So now we're listening to understand. Now we're going to listen without interrupting. And now we're going to listen without trying to fix it. And we're going to not judge by saying, "What happened?" And then we listen to understand. And we might find out that somebody was being bullied and they tried to intervene and got suspended in the mix,
mm,
or they weren't even, whatever it is. We don't know until we listen to understand.
yeah, love that. Oh my goodness. So many gems wrapped in that. I wanted to ask you about that listening without fixing.
Oh,
Give us a little bit more Lucia, like what do you mean by that? Give us an
so
example.
okay, so most of the times, if you have children, you okay, and see, this goes even back further. A lot of times we parent out of guilt. A lot of times we parent from a place of, "I don't want my kids to go through what we went through," or "I'm feeling guilty," so on and so forth. So we try to fix the problem instead of listening to the problem. A lot of times our children just want to come and vent, which is why they go to their teenage friends, because their friends will listen to them no matter how ridiculous it is or how whatever. Us as parents and caregivers sometimes want to go, say, for instance, they come home and they're like, "My friend, she doesn't like me anymore. We were friends and now she just ghosted me and whatever." And they were like, "Well, did you call her? Did you talk to her? Did you do this?" And so now we're trying to tell them how to fix the situation. That's listening to fix it.
Mm,
Instead of taking the opportunity to hear what she's saying, to hear her heart.
mm,
And we just stay quiet and we
mm,
say, "Oh, wow, how did that feel?" What, and sometimes After they've vented and they've talked and there's a silence, I just ask the question, did you want me to give my thoughts on it
Mm,
or did you just want me to listen? Because I can do either one. And then I
mm,
let them decide if they want to get my opinion or they just wanted me to listen. Now, if it's one of these dangerous, things like say your kid comes home and they're like, all seven of us piled in so and so's car and we didn't have any seatbelts, right? Immediately we're like, are you crazy? What is wrong with you? Don't you ever, right? There's we can do that. But in that moment, the fact that they were willing to tell you that they did something that wasn't legal, that's a listening moment. You can go back
mm,
around later on and be like, hey, you know what? I imagine that seemed fun, but here's the thing. I'm gonna need you to wear a seatbelt in the car. Okay? If you don't have a seatbelt, I'm gonna ask you not to get in that car. You can come back around and talk to them about it, or even ask them, how safe was that? What were the possibilities? What could have happened? And had a
mm,
conversation like that instead of condemning and saying, that was stupid. What were you thinking? Oh, you weren't thinking. That's why you did, every
mm.
opportunity is to listen and build a relationship.
As you were talking, I was thinking about, I just had this conversation with my mentee. She was sharing with me about something that she was doing. She's underage. I won't even say because I don't know who's watching. And I listen. I mean, a red flag was going off in my mind. I wanted to say, like, girl, you know better, but I didn't. I put it what I call the parking lot. I'm not forgetting. But what I value is that her thoughts are so fluid. This is such a safe space that she didn't even realize what she's sharing. And so that's not something I want to change because it gives me the ability to um, influence a little bit about putting in, sprinkling some better behaviors and actions. And I do that by asking questions. So as she finished telling me about it, I said, it sounds like y'all had a lot of fun. And I say, well, with your interest in going into criminal justice, you have to have a very clean background. That means you'll need a security clearance. So as you're thinking about the friendships that you'll be developing in college, that's something we want to like keep a tight loop on. Because what we don't want is people getting in the way of our dreams. I never said stop. That was wrong. But it's connecting to her how her decisions are impacting her future without her feeling like I ain't never gonna say, never tell her nothing
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was good. A
Mm.
plus. A plus.
A plus. Elijah once said, wow, I just realized that. Sometimes we can ask questions disguised as advice, and that is not truly listening. Woo! Hashtag learning. Me too. I'm learning too. Okay, Lesia, I jumped on your social media and stalked you for a little bit, and I pulled up two quotes that you put in a graphic, and I wanted you to share a little bit about why you felt like this was important to share. And the first one is arguing is not communication. Like, what did you mean by that?
Well, the definition of communication is two people sharing information. Uh, that means one person will share, one person has a listen, and one person shares, another person has a listen. Okay, that's communication, relaying emotions, feelings, thoughts, philosophies, so on. When we are arguing, none of that is happening,
Hmm.
right? The only maybe one thing is we are communicating our feelings, but there's no listening on the other side because an argument is a power struggle. And if I'm arguing and I'm saying my point and she's saying hers, I'm not listening because, or if I do keep my mouth closed, I'm just waiting for the opportunity to say what I want to say. That is not communication.
Hmm.
Arguing is a power struggle, and power struggles never lead to anything good except for feelings getting hurt, right?
Hmm.
And so that's why I wanted people to know that when you argue, when you're yelling, when you're fussing, even if you're not screaming, but two people are going and it's obvious no one's listening, we can confuse that. Oh, we had a conversation. Did you?
Hmm.
I feel like you didn't. I feel like People were just trying to be heard, but nobody was listening.
Mm.
And so that's why I put that. So that we have to understand that somebody has to listen when it's communication.
Two-way. It's a dialogue, not a monologue.
There you go.
Okay. The repair is more important than the tear. What do
Yes.
you mean by this? Is such a power. Tell me, what do you mean by that?
Yes. So sometimes we say and do things that it's not cool with our kids, right? I was telling you earlier that I used to be a screamaholic. I always screamed at my kids, "Oh, yeah, this, blah, blah, blah." And my kids were like, "Why do you always have to scream?" I don't know, you know. And I used to lash out and say things and obviously hurt my children's feelings. I could tell, you could just see their countenance shift from like, oh no, she hurt me. I could just see it. And so that is the tear. Okay.
Mm,
The tear, no, that's not good. What I said isn't good. But the repair is even more important to that.
mm,
Repairing the relationship. That means I need to go back as the adult,
mm,
take responsibility for my actions, and go back and make it right.
mm,
Just like we have our kids say, go say sorry to your brother. What makes it any different from us as the adult who is modeling, who's supposed to be the role model of how to interact when I am too proud as a
mm,
parent to go and apologize to my child?
mm,
So the repair of going back and saying, you know what? I was wrong for yelling at you. I am sorry. Forgive me. I, I was totally wrong, right? That's an apology. That's building repair. And you don't have to sit there and go, do you forgive me? Do you forgive me? I said, did you forget? No, right? You just go back and you say, I was wrong. Now, apology is not, I was wrong and I shouldn't have yelled, but you shouldn't have broke my vase.
mm,
That is not an apology. That is not an apology. That's still not taking full responsibility for your actions. You can address the broken vase another time, but not in the middle of you as the adult taking responsibility for the inappropriateness of your behavior, your voice, and your actions.
mm. So good. I always feel like we are modeling the behaviors that will soon be embedded into our kids. I can't remember
Yes,
where I read this from. I say it all the time, but our kids are like a blank canvas, and the words that we paint on them literally
oh,
becomes their identity. And I also say this all the time: if you are an adult, you can still hear your parents' voice, good or bad. It's such a big part of who you are. It's a big part of how you dream, what you go after, who you date. So these words, they
absolutely.
matter. They matter. And I'm really glad that you're amplifying that. And that is why you're like my BFF in this space, while today is the first time that I've met you. So I appreciate you sharing that. Speaking of words being very sensitive, are there any words that we should be avoiding when we're communicating with our kids?
Yes, yes, and yes. I'm going to make it broad, I'll make it general. If you wouldn't want anybody saying it to you, if you wouldn't want anybody using a certain tone to you,
Mm,
then those are the things you avoid with the kids. If you don't appreciate it, they won't appreciate it. If you don't like it, if somebody said something to you in the store that would cause you to want to remove your earrings and do all the things, why are we going to talk like that to our children? So I'm just going to leave it like that. If you wouldn't appreciate it, your kids are not going to appreciate it. And one of the things
mm,
um, that really got me is, and I teach this a lot, is that why is it okay for adults to cuss out their kids, to
mm,
scream at their kids, to call their kids stupid, to say all kind of things to them, and when they turn around and do it to us, we want to knock them into tomorrow. Why is that okay?
Mm,
It is not. It is not. It is called respect. And somewhere along the line, we got the idea that kids are not worthy of respect, that kids don't have feelings, that kids don't care about it or whatever it is, which is a lie. And if I would get offended with it, and if I don't want my kids to say to me, I can't say it to them.
mm,
I
mm,
can't say, get over here before I slap you to tomorrow. There
mhm,
are two, our role as parents twofold. We have two goals in life as a parent. One, to build a healthy relationship with our children. Two, prepare them for the future. If you have those two things in your mind all the time, am I preparing them for the future, and am I building a healthy relationship? If what comes out of your mouth doesn't fall into one of those two things, get rid of it. If the way I'm talking to them is not going to build a relationship, get rid of it. So, what we do, say, and how we behave has to fall in one of those two things.
mm,
It's screaming and yelling at them, teaching them how to communicate properly. Is it building a relationship for me to call them stupid? Is it building a relationship to say that was the dumbest thing I ever heard? It very well may be. But there's a way you can say it, or do you even need to say it?
mm, mm. We have a really good follow-up question to what we were talking about respect and um, creating a safe space for our children. And the question's from Kiera. She said, how do you establish boundaries with your child in terms of discipline and still keep the communication lines open? Oftentimes, we want them to be open, so we act like their friend instead of being a parent. So, like, what's the boundary there?
Right, right. So we are not our children's friend. We are not our teenager's friend. Now, my youngest daughter is 30. So we are friends, right? I can't tell her what to do. I can't tell her nothing. She grown, right? I can make suggestions. I can do this. I will still always be her parent, but my role changes. So, and in the teenage years, up until 18, we are not their friends. Now, that does not mean we can't do the things to build relationship. That does not mean we can't sit around and talk about boys. That does not mean we can't sit around or go shopping or do the things or talk about hard things. That's not what it means. But we also have to know, and they know that, hey, I am your mom first, and I am your friend. Well, I am your mom. Let me just put it this way: we can have a good time, we can enjoy each other, but my main role now is your mom. And so, setting boundaries, you will establish those boundaries. If they start to cross the line, hold on a second, just a minute. That is not okay. Okay, that is not okay. All right. We can do this, but this is not okay. You like parents wanting saying, well, my kids can come smoke marijuana in the house because I want to make sure that they're safe. Nay. Negative. Right? That is a hard boundary. So
Mm,
we have to understand what we um what we allow in the home and
mm,
what we don't allow in the home, and then make sure they're very clear. But you can still have a good time, and respecting them and allowing them to have a voice. Teach them how to have a voice. Okay, like teach them how. Like if she's like, well, cleaning the bathroom is stupid, my phrase was, okay, I'm going to need you to say that another way. Tell me what you're trying to say. And what she might be trying to say is, I don't like cleaning the bathroom in the evening because it makes me late for bed, or whatever it is.
mm,
So teach them how to communicate and have a voice in a way that's appropriate in the house and out the house, like at a job. So that's part of our job. If they don't like it, okay. Just tell me you don't like it. What are we going to do to
Mm,
fix this? Because you have to do chores. Chores is not an option in this house. Now, if you don't like the
mm,
bathroom, then would you like to do the kitchen? What would you like to do in the chore department so that you don't have to get upset and frustrated?
mm.
So we're teaching them.
A lot of patience there, Lucia. Lots of patience there.
Listen, this
I
this
want
is this is Lesia 2.0. Okay, this is not the first version. Thank
to.
God.
We're coming to a close, Licia, but I wanted to see, did you want to share, do you have any resources or suggestions for parents as far as resources that could help them continue to work on and build a relationship with their student?
Yeah, I will say a couple of things. One is, um, I did write a book. I'm sorry, I did not bring it with me. It's called Life in the Foster Lane: Practical Insights on Fostering Teens. The next time I'm going to redo that one, I'm going to change the name because I had so many parents of teens who bought that book that are not foster parents, just parents. And we talk about how to listen in the book. We talk about respect in the book. We talk about so many different practical things in the book that we could glean as parents. The other book, and you can find that on Amazon, Life in the Foster Lane. The other book that totally changed my life in the parenting world is called Parent as Coach by Diana Sterling. Revolutionized the way that I parent. I took that, became certified as a parent coach, and a lot of those principles I use today.
Mm,
So the other thing is, I'm excited is that the end of October, I'm going to be on YouTube and have lots and lots of parenting things for foster parents, parents of teens. And so check me out on YouTube. Also, Real Talk Parent Coaching is the name of my business. You can check out my website and LesiaKnudsen.com. So check it out, reach out. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. You can go to my website, LesiaKnudsen.com, and connect with me there.
I'm really glad our paths crossed. I didn't share this with the viewers, but I discovered Licia she was on a virtual summit for a guy that does a lot of support for foster care parents or parents who are fostering children. And she was one of the speakers. And I watched. I'm a big critic, by the way. I wish I could just turn that off, but I can't. But I can feel people's energies and their sincerity and their level of expertise. And I just knew I wanted to talk to you as soon as I discovered you. So again, I just thank you for your work that you're doing, and I appreciate it. And I am definitely a co-laborer in this. Those of you who are watching live, tell me, what was your biggest takeaway today? What was your biggest takeaway today? As I acknowledge this, Elijah Wan said, I try to keep in mind that as adults, we are raising the children who can't take care of themselves, but to be the adults that will take care of us when we can't take care of ourselves. Oh, that's good. Oh my goodness, that's good. Yeah.
Mm,
Man, that critical thinking piece, having a voice, allowing them to have a voice, teaching them to do so respectfully. Alicia, you
mhm,
also talked about the forms of listening, listening without interruption, without judgment, listening to understand, and listening without fixing. As you see, I absorb that. Yes, stuff that we have to work on, and I don't think you ever arrive at the point where you got it. I think it's something that you will always continue to have to practice. That's why God gives us grace and the ability to just try again the next day. Um,
yes.
Alicia, what final remarks did you want to leave? Anything else you want to share
You
before
know,
you sign off?
I do. I just want everyone to know that there is grace for tomorrow. We may tear and rip and make all kind of mistakes with our kids, but there is grace. And the final thing is that Parenting out of guilt doesn't get us anywhere. Parenting from the right now, not from the past, not from what happened, but being present right here as a parent is what's most important. So cut yourself some slack, um, get a mentor, get a parent coach, get some type of support that's going to take you to where you want to be as a parent. And so just give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace.
Good stuff. Great. We love that. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you sharing your work with us. And again, I hope you all will follow Alicia on her platform. She said her YouTube channel was coming. I appreciate you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.
Y'all, this is so good. I was telling Alicia before we started the show that one of the things my mentor told me when I shared with him that I feel like the content that I share online is not reaching. And he said, it's because you're asking people who have been trained and conditioned a certain way to think another way, and it's uncomfortable. That is why it's sometimes a challenge to get people to absorb those things. They're fighting tradition and past experiences and past traumas. And you're literally this little sun shining light saying, hey, try it this way. That is why. And that resonated with me so much. But it just goes to show you how it's still needed, even though it may be uncomfortable. Oh, I'm stepping on some toes. Oh my gosh. Elijah said, I was listening and not judging, but this was great. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Kiara also said, great live. And she definitely thanks our guest for today. And I thank her too. Y'all know I don't like to keep y'all long. 30 minutes and we out of here. I love you. Absolutely nothing you could do about it. I'll see you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. See you then. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence.